Well, howdy everyone. Welcome to, I guess, the fourth installment of Spiritual Warfare, where we're going to look at where we're actually at right now. I haven't done one of these for, I guess, over a month, and I thought it's a good time to just take a look at what we may have learned, and I think we are learning a bit of what's really going on here on some level. We're starting to learn a bit more of the deeper experience. We're seeing how more of the insanity is taking hold of parts of the world. It's a bit cold today. It was a nice sunny day when I first left to come out here. I thought I'd come out and film this outside, but the sun has gone away. It's gotten a bit gray. I hope that's not a omen for our winter coming up. So insanity. On some levels, it's kind of evened off a bit in a few places, but I don't know if you saw the video of the dancing couples at some prom. The link is below, and I'll just put up a still photo for you. It was so insane. It was so insane. All I could do was laugh. It's like the what's happening in this reality is so crazy. It's so crazy that it's gone past the point of frustration and anger. It's actually at the point of sheer laughter at how stupid everyone is. And how can these kids not be thinking, what kind of mental disease am I going to be taking forward for the rest of my life from this? What kind of screwed up mental state are kids like this all over the world going to be taking for the next 50 years of their life, assuming they get 50 years, right? It's just beyond bonkers. But I think we're learning some stuff. I think we're learning some things. And some of it's coming from just seeing what's around us. Some of it's coming from thinking. Some of it's coming from I'm doing some dream journeys on this, trying to get more wisdom than little me sitting here can possibly figure out. And what I can say is it does seem like the most likely scenario of what might be going on right now is we're heading to a tripping point. We're heading to a doorway. We've been moving towards, very soon, a doorway of, I don't know what the doorway is. In one of my journeys, it was described to me as it's time going to fold over on itself. Now, I don't know what time folding over on itself means, but that's what's being described. They said time was trying to fold over on itself, and this is a very good thing. It's supposed to happen at a certain point in the dream state. This occurs. And what we are seeing from what we can call the controllers is the attempt to stop this. That the natural progression of the dream is trying to be halted. And that's, if you've been following Betweenness and you've been following the last video, trying to forcibly alter the dream is not an easy thing to do. On a small level, it's really difficult, and on the level that the group who thinks they're in charge is trying to fix this, it's on a massive scale. And I think that's why we're seeing so much confusion, so much strangeness, so much goofiness from the people trying to put this stuff in play, because they're playing with forces that they think they can control, that they think they understand, and they're not even close to really getting. But they're trying really, really hard to stop whatever's coming. On the other hand, the opportunity for seeing this reality and seeing yourself clearly is off the charts. It's just off the charts. Some of the conversations I'm having with, I can't call them friends. It's very similar, like Matt was describing in his video yesterday or something, where he kind of, all of his old friends are gone. And that's mostly similar in my world. Almost everyone I used to know in some level from years ago has vanished, because there's no way we could have a conversation anymore. We're no longer on the same radio dial, right? I'm still on AM 950 and they're on 850 now, and we've got nothing. It's two totally different radio stations. But the new friends that I'm getting in touch with and contacting, we're having some very good insights into where we are. And it really does seem like if I don't call it spiritual growth, if just knowledge of where you are and what you are is foremost in your mind right now, the chances of getting those deep answers are really great. Now, of course, you're always going to be blocked here if you believe it. Because it's a post I left on Matt's video, and that was because I think the video was really good. It was really, really good. He's having a bit of confusion, but it's good confusion, actually. It's very good confusion. When you can no longer hold on to white or black as being any kind of truth in the world, when up and down is not true, when left and right is not true, when both sides of any situation or argument or presentation can both be right and wrong at the same time, you really start to move into a completely different realm. The realm, of course, being the dream state itself, right? This is a really big part of what's possible right now, is seeing through the non-reality of reality, seeing that it's an experience and there's an experiencer having it, but it's to look who or what is really having the experience, and who and how tangible is where we are. So we're at a point like that. We're at a point where the forces that have been in charge are doing everything they can to keep that going. They know they're at, and that can be what all of this, what the stuff at CERN has been all about for all these years. It's been preparation for now. It's been trying to figure out how to technologically control this time period. The same with what's known as the Mandela effect, which I don't think is accidental. I think it's some sort of controlled mechanism. And that might also be a part of trying to stop this folding of time, or trying to control the folding of time. And I think all those things are linked to where we are right now. They're not separate in any way. They're a part of the experience. They're part of the challenge that's happening right now. And we, I think, have a huge opportunity to see it. Whether the masses will ever see it, I don't know. And we can't worry about them. You have to worry about you. And perhaps one or two close family members who are close friends who share your same wavelength, you might say. Everyone else you kind of got to let them be on their own. And just see the absurdity in the world. It's why I enjoy being out here. Out here, there's no absurdity. The world is still as it's always been. Reality is still functioning in the same manner. The lake is still being the lake. The trees are still being the trees. The bench is still being the bench. It's the people. The people have gone crazy. The people have gone right off the deep end. And I don't know, I'm kind of rambling a bit, I think, today, of a whole bunch of different ideas and topics. But where I live, in the country I live in, all of these rules that you have to follow in the rest of the world are not in place. We kind of live in there's very little has changed in our day-to-day worlds here. So the people who are wearing the muzzle wear it because they want to, because they're afraid. And I tried to get close to a few of these people a few days ago. Walked really close to them. Most of them were unable to look you in the eye. They were looking only at the ground. They were looking in front of them. They were even afraid to look up and even see that the world around them is here. But ones I did look into the eyes, who I saw, it wasn't actually fear. It was a blankness. It's the best word I could describe. They were literally, I'm going to say robots. I was looking at a robot, and I don't think I can't say, I don't want to say, people have always been robots, so to speak. They've never actually been people. I'm sure if I saw them a year before, they would have been, probably robot-ish a bit, but I think they still would have had some humanness in their eyes. These people had zero. Oh, hey, the sun's back, and it's getting warm. Maybe our omens are improving. getting very warm actually. But they were soulless, and I don't want to say soulless, that's not the right word. They just had no life in their eyes. Like they were already dead. The Walking Dead, the best way to describe it, they were already dead. And obviously, this level of fear that's being generated is really important to stop the trip point. And I get the sense that's what the spiritual war is really happening here. The spiritual war that we're fighting is a spiritual war of frequency. That the controllers are trying to drop the frequency using and holding it in place, dropping it with technology and holding it in place with types of technology. That's how they can keep the change from happening. The rest of us, perhaps just on an individual level, have to keep the frequency level that we experience different from the frequency level that's being dropped in the dream. And it's an actual war of frequency. That if you can win the war of frequency just in yourself, you don't have to win a worldwide battle, you don't have to fix the world, you don't have to save the world, you don't have to do anything like that. You just have to win the battle of your own frequency. And that makes it a very fightable battle, you might say, when that's the only thing you're concerned about is your own frequency. One thing I found lately from a conversation with another friend, all these new friends I'm making, is the importance of keeping a sensual nature in your humanness. And by sensual, I don't mean necessarily in a type of sexual way. That's one form of sensuality, but just that you're wanting a heightened bit of sense. It doesn't matter if you're eating food. Are you really tasting and enjoying the food you eat? If you're looking at nature and the trees, and this is part where the gazing exercise comes in. Are you really connecting with the nature? Are you really connecting with the trees? Are you really here on a deep sense level? And it's strange because I've just been talking about that, reality is a dream, that this is not really tangibly real, and so your senses are actually fooling you, right? The senses believe that I've got a birch tree right here. This is what all of our senses tell us. Birch tree. And I like birch, fabulous. I love the tree, but on another level, I know there is no birch tree. I know it's just a manifestation in reality that has maybe something or nothing at all to do with me at all. It just manifested, and it's manifested the appearance of a tree. It's a hologram, right? It's a holographic image that I think, being a hologram myself, when I touch it, two holograms touching would of course think it's real. It's not. It's not. So it's weird to stay on one level because it's the senses that make you believe the dream is real, but it's also, it seems, the sensuality in all parts of your life are what generate the enough energy to keep from dropping too far into the dream. That the something about that's a real sensual nature, and I don't know if you've seen this or not yourself. I've thought about this now for a couple of weeks. The true sensual nature of the average human is just disappeared. I remember when I was in my teens, there were lots of certainly sensual women that I could see around, but even you could see there were men that had like a real zest for life, had a real liveliness to them. Right, and by sensuality I just mean to fully enjoy this experience of all the senses in whatever activity you're engaging in. And I think there's a lot of false sensuality, particularly related just only in a sexually permissive way. That is it's been when you look at when someone normally tries to be sensual or present sensuality, it doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? It doesn't. It's perverted. It's backwards. It's upside down. I even did a search on YouTube a while ago, looking for lectures on sensuality. Let's see what's out there, what's being presented. And almost all the presenters, even though they said a couple of things that were kind of interesting, when I looked at the person presenting, it's like, but you're not. I look at you and I don't see true sensuality. It's like, you're kind of getting it mentally a bit, but it's not being embodied, which is the whole point of it, right? The whole point of sensuality is it's in your body. You're in the experience. You're fully here. You're fully present. And I don't want this to turn into some kind of being in the now bullshit or mindfulness or any of this other spiritual horse shit crap. It's just either you're in the experience or you're not. And I think you're in the experience more and more when you, how do I say it? You're in the experience more and more when you at least know the experience might not be what you think it is. Maybe you don't know what all these trees are and what the lake really is and what the waveform of all the holograms look like and how those holograms are made, etc. But on some level, you know, well, I know I'm not a lake. I know I'm not with some trees. I know the sun's not really shining, but that's the experience that the character playing me is having. So why not really find a way to deepen and enjoy the experience if possible? You know, the sun's on me now, and I'm really enjoying the sunlight fully. I'm you know, it may not look like a sensual moment the way it's supposed to be described, but it is. It is. And that's that energy, and you can take that energy with you for long periods of time. It kind of like once it gets generated, it'll just stay with you for a while. So I think that's an important thing. Can you keep these elements as well? Because I think these are all things that keep the frequency at a really good level. You know, not just eating really well, eating the right foods that's right for your body. This is also so important. Like, a person could eat what somebody claims, this is a great diet, this is a great foods to eat, and it's great for the person who described it, but the person who's on the diet, it doesn't really work for them. They have to eat other foods, they have to eat something else. There's other things that are right for their body, and the more you know yourself, right, the more you know the character you look at in the mirror every day, what's good for it, what's bad for it, what does it like, what doesn't it like, what are the things your character needs to carry clarity and health on a day-to-day basis. You need to add that to your day. You need to find a way to add that into your life. And I think all of these things are really, really important from the standpoint of keeping a higher frequency. Not getting sucked into what's going on. Not getting sucked into, you know, wouldn't it have been great if at that dance when the teachers, whoever the group was that decided this is the rule of how you're going to have your dances at your prom, and if all of the students said, you're fucking insane. You're just fucking crazy. We're not doing that. Well, then you're not going to have a prom if you're not going to follow the rules. Great. Then we won't have one. We would rather sit at home, all watch the same movie and call each other on the phone and talk about how great the movie is we watched than do some sort of psychology destructive mind-bending horse shit that you want us to do. Fuck you. I think the power, especially if it would have been like 500 of those students, you know, maybe there's 50 that just would have gone and done it anyway because they're just, you know, true zombies. But if the other 500 who had some thinking capacity had all just said, nope, not doing it, what a statement they would have made, not just in general, that you know, they would have had to explain, somebody would have had to explain why there's no prom at their high school this year. And, you know, that would have generated a massive discussion in the community. On the other side of it, those kids themselves, they would have taken power back with them. They would have taken the experience of, I'm not going to do something crazy just because someone told me to. You know, there's nothing wrong with doing some things that maybe you don't always like to do, but once you logically think it through, it's, you know, that's probably a good idea, actually. This is actually, when I think about it, you know, yeah, this might be useful. A lot of this actually might keep a lot of people okay and not cause any problems. And actually, okay, it's not a bad idea. But, you know, are you really going to, again, it's a frequency drop, right? Those kids guaranteed had a frequency drop. And they didn't have to have one. That's the point. A lot of these drops that are happening, Some of them are beyond our control. They're done through technology. I mean, this is the other point I wanted to get out. I mean, the technology is what's holding the lower vibrational state together, right? If there was no technology, if we're just out here in nature, it would be much more relaxed and calm. A couple of people walking by. Ja, väldigt fint. So that's what's holding it in place, right? Is this is the technology. And I think if we're going to pray for something now, if you're going to sit there and pray, don't pray for a savior. Pray for some sort of plasma discharge from the sun. Not enough to destroy buildings per se and hurt anybody or damage the earth. Just enough to knock out the technology. Some sort of electromagnetic thing, earth-wide. Not like just a country, not linear. I mean the whole thing. If technology was just boom, gone. Particularly anything that runs off any kind of electricity, any kind of non-natural way, and we got thrown back 300 years in time, technologically wise, of what we have access to. A lot of this problem just stops. Like it just ends immediately. They asked the Amish. I don't know if this was a joke or not, but they seemed to ask some Amish people in Pennsylvania or something, right? Ask them, well, there's none of this problem going on. Call it problem, right? None of this problem in your community. How come none of you have caught this problem? And they just said, oh, well, we don't have television. So again, it's part of this thing. I mean, maybe people are actually getting sick. Maybe there really is a sickness that's going on, and it's just being generated by the human mind. If the mind gets enough message over and over and over and over again, it'll just generate the thing that you're being told. If you know, like Derren Brown, the UK hypnotist, right? He can get. I'd highly recommend to watch some of his stuff. I'm also going to put a couple of video links down below. If you don't know who Derren Brown is, you got to see what this guy can do. And how quickly he can do it. How quickly. I'll do the one of the guy with the bicycle where he gets the guy to Derren Brown said he was going to get him a present. And all he had to do was tell him what it was. He wrote it down a week before, and then he was going to bring it in, and if whatever he wanted, if that's what Derren Brown had, he would get it. And Derren Brown got him to say, I want a BMX bike. Which, of course, is not what the guy wanted at all. He had wrote something down completely different a week before, but in like the span of 20 minutes, based on all sorts of subliminal messaging and tapping and programming and use of words and whatever, he got him to all of a sudden he wanted what Derren Brown wanted him to want. That quick. And he has others where he gets, he can get an entire shopping mall to raise their arms, and it goes deeper and deeper. He did one with an assassin where he was able to get someone to think they became an assassin just by subliminal messaging. And he did one on luck. He did one on mob mentality. He's done one on how faith healers work. He's done one on exposing things like talking to the dead and seances. I mean, the guy is just incredible. And I'm going to leave some links below. But that's a perfect example of how easy it is to control and manipulate in a small space. And if you know how to use these techniques, which I guarantee the controllers know, they know how to use them. They're using this in the newspapers, on the television, in the movies. Everywhere there are these subliminal and not so subliminal messaging is constantly going into our mind. I think someone said once, I think this was in Jerry Mander's book, The Four Arguments Against Television, another great book, right, written in the 70s that, again, everybody should read as to why television is destructive to the human mind. And that's television in the 1970s, never mind the update of television and the computer world. But even in his book, he was talking about how easy it is to subliminally be controlled by the television. Just television itself is a trance-inducing state, and once you're in the trance, whatever's being presented, you start to take on. You believe it, right? So this is, it's really it's where we are right now, I think. And I think a lot of this stuff is starting to show itself. I mean, this is not, a lot of this is on in the dream level, right? This is not outside the dream. This is not some sort of giant awakening level. It's just getting a good recognition of who you are, how much you've been lied to. You don't need to know what all the lies are. You don't need to actually dig through and say, oh, I've been lied about this in history. I've been lied about this in science. I've been lied about this in religion. I've been lied about this in government. I've lied about this about commerce. It's just good to know that everything you've ever known is a lie. That could be a great video. Just everything you've ever known is a lie. But you don't need to know the truth about every little detail. You don't need to dig and find out every single thing, what is actually true. It can be enough just to start seeing it's all false, and instead just look for, is there anything true? Is there anything at all? Don't actually look for all the truths. Look for one. Look for one truth in anything. Look for truths in, it doesn't matter whether it's history, science, religion, governments, the system of the world, sociology, anything. Look for one thing that's true about the dream state. Other than you're having an experience. I guess we could say that. Whatever you are, you'll have to look to see what you're classifying as you and who I is and whatnot. But okay, this I thing, whatever that is having experience. Oh, maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but that's close. What else you got? What else can you come up with is true? Because right now, I think, boy, you've got a chance to do this. And I have to admit, I'm really disappointed about one thing now. And that is, one of the things, I mean, as much as I enjoy doing this is great. Sharing whatever I can share with all of you in a video. I miss meeting with people face to face. I miss having lectures, and because I don't do these long, goofball, expensive workshops, and I never did any of that. It was just a lecture. You know, people pay $5 or $10, and they all come, and we sit for a couple hours. We talk about some stuff, and that's interesting on its own, to meet all these people, to travel to different parts of the world, and see what people think in different places and what they're going through, what your experiences are. But it's the next day and the day after that where a few people in the lecture who connect to what I've said might say, hey, have you ever seen these statues in the museum? They're really interesting. No, I haven't. Have you been to this place in nature? Have you been to this particular out-of-the-way church? No one really knows about it. Yeah, can you take me? And I can start going with these people to have these really interesting experiences and go to these really interesting places I would never know about, wouldn't know they exist. But it's by having these meetings and making these connections that, you know, I would go and have all of these great little experiences with a whole bunch of new friends made from what turned out to just be a couple hours of talking in someone's house or a small office space or something. And then all of a sudden, we have these adventures that turn out together. And I miss that. I really miss the not being able to have all of these subscribers now, all of these people watching the videos. And I'm sure, you know, if I said something like, wow, it'd be great, a couple of you who are in England say, why don't you come over and we'd like to show you something, we'll get some people together. Be, yeah, that sounds great. Or I joked with Matt, I said it'd be fantastic to be back in the US for a while and pop on over to your place, go on over somewhere to have a nice long lunch and just talk about the non-reality of reality, how much fun that would be. And I miss that. But that's just my own thing right now. Well, I've hit the 30-minute mark, which is kind of what I want to keep my videos to now. I'll do another one on this healing thing, which I've been meaning to get to for a long time. This being healed of curing video. It's been sitting in notes for a long time. I've been looking into the Rennes le Chateau stuff a little bit hard. It's taking me some time. I'm doing on just a couple of subjects: geometry, René Lapin, Henry Boudet and his book, and I'm trying to make that even though it's only on a few topics. I really want to try to give you something to really think about in that. Because as I've looked into that story more and more and more, I'm being more and more surprised by what that story might be telling us. And at some point, as we get through it all, we'll get to it. Well, I guess I should leave that there. I'll wish you guys a really good day. Look forward to seeing what you have to say about what I've shared today. That the spiritual warfare going on might just be a warfare of frequency and a warfare of continued technology against the possibility of a non-technological world. Be an interesting scenario, wouldn't it? To see how the controllers would be able to control us without the technology. Of course, no one can control you without your own consent, right? We are harmonious individual beings of great power. Great power. If there's anything I've learned of my study of the ancient world, is some of the unbelievable inner power that a human being has access to. And just because in some cases we've lost that access or been forgotten or hasn't been showed to us in our lives, doesn't mean we don't still have it. It's there, and I think the possibility for still a powerful existence, or at least a powerful transformation, is still possibly here for us. Let's hope we can all take it. See you soon.